G'day legends and welcome. This is YouTube channel What the Hell Am I Doing? And you're about to find out why. This is Matilda, a 30-foot sailboat newly acquired by Captain Dan and our home for what was supposed to be the next 7 days. This is Metung, a beautiful little town in the coldest windswept corner of the Australian mainland, where nothing really happens apart from the pub, the hot springs and the yacht club. And this is an absolute idiot from Metung, who, as the intro explained, is about to set foot on an unknown 30-year-old untested sailboat for the very first time with a complete stranger and sail over 700 nautical miles to Queensland. What could possibly go wrong? But first, and to let you know just how sketchy this plan is, here's a bit of a backstory. This was me about 4 months earlier, after an even bigger idiot who was running from police on a motorcycle ran a red light and hit me square in the driver's door. The police and ambulance paramedics told me that I shouldn't be alive, and had I been driving a four-wheel drive and been seated 30 centimetres higher, the motorcyclist would have gone completely through the window and we'd both be dead. I had a new resolve for life, and now I was going to attempt something massive. Or was it stupid? I didn't know yet, but one thing was for sure, I wasn't going to die waiting and wondering. The injuries from the accident meant that I couldn't drive a car. I was severely depressed, diagnosed with PTSD, had limited neck movement, major headaches, brain fog, memory loss, back and shoulder aches, and I was on lots of pain medication. Apart from that, I was pretty good. The one positive about all of this was that I had a lot of time to think. I didn't need any more reminders of how short life is, and this was just the final push I needed. Sailing had been on my to-do list for a few years, and after this accident and a badly broken hand the year before, I had decided that the time to get on a sailboat was now. The only question was, could my body handle it? Months before the accident, I had been doing a bit of ringing around to find the right sailing school. One in particular had called me back with a proposition. A sailing instructor called Captain Dan had by sheer coincidence bought a sailboat just 3 kilometres from my place in Metung. He had offered to instruct me to do my day skipper's course on board his sailboat as he took it back to his home in Queensland, over 700 nautical miles away. Dan needed a crew member and I needed to get out of the house and go sailing. This could work out pretty good, if only my body holds up. Part of me actually started to suspect that my luck had changed. After telling Captain Dan about my situation, he had also offered that if my body couldn't handle it, to pull into a port and let me off to catch a bus home at some point. Fast forward 4 months, and Dan had flown down and cancelled the journey at the last minute at least 3 times due to unfavourable weather changes. Much to his frustration, and just quietly my relief, as I don't think I would have made it past the first day. Armed with a good neck brace, an arm sling and a box of painkillers, all of which I hid in my bag so Dan wouldn't panic and sail off without me, I hitched a ride with my good mate and neighbour Gary to my local, the Metung pub, to await the mysterious Captain Dan. Though I didn't want to show it, there was a lot going on in my head as the boat approached the dock. Who actually was Captain Dan? Would he make me poop overboard? Is cereal soup? Uh-oh, leg tats. Don't stress Pete, he probably just likes pain. Not sure about his dress sense too. Oh wait. Formalities complete, I stepped on board a sailboat for the very first time. And this may just look like an old chuck stepping on a boat, but to me it was the beginning of a new life of adventure. But with my life in the hands of a stranger, with leg tats and a boat he probably didn't know that well, I just wasn't sure how much longer life would last. But what was I worried about? Yes, my life was in this stranger's hands. Yes, we were going the wrong way against the East Australian current, but the path we were sailing was well known and had been sailed many times before. Yeah, I was feeling real good. It was time to meet and get to know the mysterious Captain Dan. Act cool, Pete, act cool.
Yeah, 40 footer. Yeah, I remember you saying you had would you have a first or something, didn't you?
I had a Sydney 41.
Oh, Sydney 41, okay.
Yeah, it was a performance boat.
Yeah, right.
It was good. Yeah,
so you're into the racing, are you?
Have been, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we used to go up to Early Beach and Hamilton Island, do the race weeks every year, and 2021 I've done 3 Hobart races, but I took my boat in 2021 and we won our division and we come 3rd overall. So that was pretty cool.
Wait. Did he just say what I think he just said?
I've done 3 Hobart races, but I took my boat in 2021 and we won our division and we come 3rd overall.
Yes, he did. Ladies and gentlemen, the mysterious Captain Dan is none other than Captain Dan Farmer, Sydney to Hobart Yacht Race Division winner and 3rd overall, captain and owner. Dan is an acclaimed sailing instructor and a highly respected and just damn good sailor. Dan Farmer joined the Royal Australian Navy in 1989, which gave him a healthy appetite for sailing. Dan is a Master Class 5 skipper and RYA Yachtmaster offshore and cruising instructor. Yeah, okay, that'll do. Just a few minutes later we cast off, and here was the plan. After a quick provision stop at Lakes Entrance for alcohol, cheese and crackers, we'd venture out into Bass Strait and head east, rounding Gabo Island and Mallacoota, and heading northeast up the New South Wales South Coast, past Merimbula, Eden, Bermagui, Bateman's Bay, Wollongong and Sydney, and the New South Wales North Coast, past Newcastle, Coffs Harbour, beautiful Coolangatta, and eventually ending up in Southport on the Gold Coast where Captain Dan lives, and where I have a bunch of great mates to catch up with. We'd make up our minds about stops on the way, and as anyone that sailed before knows, much of that would be weather dependent. After casting off from Lakes Entrance, we sailed straight into the bar crossing to enter into Bass Strait. Dan had just handed over the tiller to me when test number 1 happened. We came face to face with the big dredger, the Tommy Norton, who was trying to come into the narrow crossing as we were trying to get out. Luckily, the captain of the Tommy Norton must have seen the look of panic on my face as I was steering and took pity to let us pass. I didn't want Dan to know how absolutely petrified I was, as I know the infamous Lakes Entrance bar crossing well from a spectator's perspective anyway. Just so you know, I'm not only new to sailing, but I'm also new to YouTubing and filming myself. And much of the time I was under instruction. I also wanted to listen to Captain Dan as much as I could, so cameras were a low priority. As a result, most of the rest of the footage in this episode was filmed when we were all set and sailing, motoring or at anchor. But there were some great sights to see. Nothing better than what happened on the first night. Something I will never forget.
Look out. Give me a hold. The heads. There goes the Tommy Norton we just passed. And that's the entrance to Lakes Entrance. Goodbye, Lakes Entrance.
We were a few hours into our sail down the 90-mile beach, and somewhere off the coast of Cape Conran, one of my favourite spots in Victoria, the sun had set around 30 minutes before and my eyes had just adjusted to the darkness. I was steering and Captain Dan was inside the cabin making us dinner. At that moment, something caught my eye near the back of the boat. At first I thought I was seeing things, but then to my right, and only around 1.5 meters away from where I was sitting, emerging out of the blackness of the night and through the dark glassy water appeared mutant radioactive dolphins! Call Greta! Dan graciously stopped me and explained that the glow was caused by bioluminescence in algae and plankton, which give off a brief glow when the water is disturbed. I instantly felt so incredibly lucky to witness what I was seeing. It was as if the universe was sending me a message, telling me with bold capital letters, "You are on the right path. Keep going." A quick footnote. I wasn't quick enough to pull out the camera to capture the bioluminescence and the dolphins, but this was virtually identical to what I saw, so I'm grateful for the use of the footage from another channel. The link is below if you want to give them some love. After the glowing dolphins swam away, I sat and stared over the dapples of the moonlit water. I'm already in awe on the first day. What will I be lucky enough to witness if I make this my life? This was awesome. Never have I been so instantly happy with a life decision I've made. Never have I been so in awe of nature. Never have I been so upset that I didn't listen more closely whilst watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. As the day broke in the distance, we started to make out the three long flashes of the only operating lighthouse in Victoria at Gaybo Island. Gaybo was a bit of an enigma to me. This was the first time I had laid eyes on it, and the first time anything had flashed at me in years. So I put on the autopilot and took the time to get to know Gaybo a bit better. Gaybo Island is a 154 hectare island located off the coast of eastern Victoria, 500 metres off the coast near Mallacoota in Victoria, near the New South Wales border. It is considered by many to be the marking point of the southeast corner of Australia. The lighthouse took 4 years to build and was completed in 1862 and made from red granite quarried from the island. The lighthouse stands 46.9 metres, making it Australia's second largest lighthouse, behind the Cape Wickham Lighthouse on King Island, which is 1.1 metres taller. The keeper's house is occupied by a caretaker, but another building can be rented for overnight stays. Perfect if you want to check out the pink granite shoreline and rock pools, go for a dive in Santa Barbara Bay, see the various colonies, or sit on the shore and spot passing whales, dolphins and seals, with the highlight being a massive colony of fairy penguins that make their way onto the island after dusk. And if you're still awake after that, well done. For some reason I was really tired after that and I had a nap. Dan somehow had managed to stay awake to sail us up the coast past Cape Howe, Eden and Merimbula. It was slow going against the Eastern Australian current, and later as our second night fell we saw the lights of Bermagui, where my favourite Austrian German style cafe called Eurolicious is. I didn't get paid for that. Try the strudel. Up till now it had been pretty plain sailing, but a 20-knot northeasterly soon kicked up and had us heading straight into the waves. I didn't get any of this filmed as it got a little rough, and Dan was busy teaching me how to tack and jibe. For me, it was a white-knuckle ride. I had to corkscrew the tiller as I went over each wave to keep us on course, and that was when I made my first mistake. This is just too awesome. The sea was angry that day, my friends, like an old man trying to send back soup at a deli. As we tacked out to the east, I took my eyes off the instruments and the wind direction for a second to monitor where we were in relation to the landmarks which were now behind us. We went over a wave and a big gust of wind turned us on top of that wave roughly 30 degrees. I looked back and turned the tiller to compensate, but because I'm a noob, I turned it the wrong way, and just like that, the wind was out of our sails and both the jib and the main were flapping and the wind and the waves were coming at us from the side. Captain Dan, who was below deck, felt what had happened and bounced out of the gangway and into the cockpit like one of those guys getting fired out of a cannon. With a whip of the furler and the jib sheet, Captain Dan had us jibed and on track again in a few seconds. I was a bit rattled, but it was a valuable learning experience. Thankfully, just after that, the wind eased off as night fell. We navigated by night into Ulladulla Harbour. I pulled up my first ever mooring ball and we settled in for a debrief and a well-earned rest. After a great sleep at Ulladulla, we went looking to buy some diesel as we were almost out. One of the local fishermen said that the diesel bowser pump was broken and it's the first time he's seen that in 20 years. If you ask me, that diesel pump knew I was coming. After scouting around, we received a bit of help from the local Coast Guard from a man named Jim, who unbelievably loaned us his car to drive to a service station, even though he didn't even know us. Thanks, Jim. And that's it for episode 1. In episode 2, we sail out of Ulladulla and past Australia's most spooky and cursed lighthouse, site of a series of very bizarre deaths of young people in the 1800s. We moor up in gorgeous Jarvis Bay, take in the spectacular local coastal cliffs and caves, and sail onwards to check out more boats in Sydney and the boat porn of Pittwater. See you there.